This is Angel Connect podcast show, episode number 7, an interview with Nick Mysore about mentorship conducted by Hall Martin at the TiECon South Conference. In this episode, we continue our discussion about mentorship with an interview from Hall Martin with Nick Mysore. In this audio episode, Nick discusses how to deliver a quality pitch as an entrepreneur, and then how to grow a brand and scale it, and then also how to handle an entrepreneur who may not be taking a mentor's advice. As you'll see, Nick discusses how to create customer delight, basically with 3 things that he drives, which is desire, decide, and then delight. And then also he discusses why his job is to make the entrepreneur uncomfortable. That's right, uncomfortable. And finally, he tells you why it's the people. His advice is be prepared and bet on the people, not the technology or the product. And so let's listen in while Nick Mysore discusses and describes these in detail to Hall Martin.
This is Hall T. Martin with the Angel Connect program here at TiECon South 2014 with Nick Mysore. Nick, thank you for joining us. We were talking about mentorship a moment ago. Can you tell us more about the importance of mentorship to entrepreneurs?
Absolutely, Hal. Thank you for having me, first of all. Think about a mentor as a guru or a teacher. We have been there, we have done that. And what we want to do is impart that knowledge to the next guy so he succeeds better. So part of the mentorship program that I started at TI was to help the ecosystem in Dallas to start generating more and more entrepreneurial ventures here. Okay, and the goal is to kind of encourage that. If you saw the event today, it was a pretty diverse crowd. Right? There were women entrepreneurs, there were African American entrepreneurs, there were Latinos, there were Oriental Asian Americans, and there were Indian entrepreneurs.
It was very diverse, quite a range.
Yeah, and I shouldn't forget the American entrepreneurs. And 2 of them won.
Well, they had quite a number of good pitches up there all the way around. You did a good job putting the pitch program together. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. I think part of the thing is I didn't do much. It was the team. And the most important thing was, remember, it was the entrepreneurs, right? Because what we did was we bought the best of breed from Dallas across different organizations, like from guys who were from the Addison Treehouse, guys who were at the DEC, the DEC, across the city. And from outside the city, like Austin and Houston, we had about 50 applications to enter IDLE, out of which we picked 15 companies. And those 15 companies did a tremendous job.
I was very impressed with the quality of the presentations and so forth. What kind of mentorship were you providing those guys?
So, like 4 of them were our mentors in the TI organization, right? So those guys were, how do you do your pitch? What do you pitch about? What is the message? How creatively do you need to stand up and deliver your presentation? When not to sweat.
I saw a few of them sweating anyway, but that's to be expected.
That's right. And that's part of the game, right? Because what you're doing as an entrepreneur is you're selling your vision. Our job is to make sure that the vision is right and that you as an entrepreneur are not just in love with your problem or your vision or your idea, but really know how to commercialize it. So that's where mentors like me come in. We are all about commercialization of your products, your ideas. If we don't, like with my background, I have built big brands. I think about brands. How do you take a product and create a brand out of it? How do you then take the brand and make sure it's a scalable brand? And then how do you deliver customer delight? That's all about what we do.
Well, you were talking about growth a moment ago and the importance of growth, and I think that's what you focus on in mentorship is how do you grow a business? Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. Think about growth. How do you grow? You grow because you get new consumers. You grow because you get new customers. You grow because you are able to sell more products. So if you think about the 3 things that you should be driving towards as an entrepreneur, it is helping create the desire for your product, right? Helping create the decide for your product. That means the consumer has to buy, and then create the delight for the product. Right? At that point, I have created the 3 Ds in marketing. And I have connected with my consumer, because if you delight the consumer or you delight your customer, they're going to come back and create a desire for your product.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. How do you achieve the first one?
The desire or the decide?
The desire.
You need to know what you're selling, right? And you need to understand what is that consumer need. Remember, one of the things we talked about in the panel discussions as well as in Entrepreneurial Idol, one of the things I talked about was the very fact that you need to know what is that consumer need you're satisfying. If you know that need is being satisfied, you create a desire for your product, right? Because you've identified a gap. Mm-hmm. Once you do that, you got to make that consumer want to buy your product for some reason, give them a reason to believe, and then turn it around so that there's a way to delight the consumer.
We get a lot of angel investors listening to these podcasts, and I guess one question I've heard them ask me is, what happens when the entrepreneur does not take your advice? How do you handle that?
I think very gently we nudge the entrepreneur in the right direction, because their success is our success. And at the end of the day, for them to hear us, they have to be receptive. It's like a patient. A doctor can go to the patient, give him a pill, and if the patient doesn't take it, the patient's got a problem. Our job is to keep on reinforcing the right pathway.
There are many entrepreneurs out there, probably more than anyone could ever try to mentor. How do you choose one entrepreneur to mentor versus another one not to mentor? What's your process?
Well, we have a pretty strict selection criteria here to even get into the mentorship program. Plus, we have a very strict selection criteria to get into the Entrepreneurial Idol or the pitch competitions. Part of what we do is receptivity. Think of an entrepreneur as any other person, right? If you're receptive to somebody coming and teaching you, you're willing to learn, you're a good student. And that's part of our chemistry. So when I match a mentor and an entrepreneur, I look for chemistry. And I want to see that the spark is there.
That's great. Coachability is such a key aspect of growing. You have to be open to the idea. How do you get an entrepreneur to become more open to an idea that they may not be open to?
Sometimes the entrepreneur is in so much with his love, with his idea, that he doesn't see past that little circle. Our goal is to actually broaden his horizon. Right? And when you do that, there's a risk. The business he may be in today is not the business he could be in tomorrow. And my job as a mentor is to make you uncomfortable.
That's one way of saying it. Someone once said, my job is to make the comfortable uncomfortable and make the uncomfortable comfortable. And quite a few entrepreneurs are uncomfortable. They don't quite know where they're going. And the job, I guess, is to make them more comfortable with the process of making your way through the business. I often see entrepreneurs struggle with the fact that the market doesn't accept what they offer. And I tell them, well, no, that's just having the market shape it for themselves, so the market is leading them in the right direction. But some entrepreneurs don't like that for some reason. What's your experience with that?
So think about it this way. It is always a matter of dialogue. You dialogue with the person. You have to have that trust and the rapport. Once you have that, it's very easy conversation. Okay? So you build that over time. So mentorship doesn't end. I have mentors in my life that I've known 20 years ago who still mentor me.
Well, it's more of the journey is the reward. There is no end. It's the journey itself, and the dialogue along the way. I like the analogy of that. We're having a dialogue, and we will always have a dialogue. That's a great way of putting that. Appreciate that. What any closing words or thoughts you'd like to share with other angel investors about mentorship?
So as an angel investor, I think you need to find the right combination of talent to bet on. Very often as angel investors, you like the idea, you bet on the idea. But remember, at the end of the day, it's not just the idea, it's the people that are building and taking that idea. So 3 things that I tell people that is very important. As an angel investor, be prepared to lose your money. Okay? As an angel investor, understand that you're betting on the people and not the technology. And as an angel investor, be very active where your money is because you don't want to lose it.
That's good advice. I've seen all of it myself. Losing money, working with people. Yeah, that's very good advice. I appreciate you taking time to join us today on Angel Connect. Thank you so much.
Glad to be here.